Good morning, good morning, good morning. Another episode. We're not quite to 30 yet, are we, guys?
Not yet. I lose count.
No, I think it's like 27. We're 27 episodes in, and we're doing some fun things. Obviously, we want to make sure everybody knows. We already talked about the election. We're going to keep talking about the election. Go America!
Right, so, I mean, that was a week ago.
I have to do that.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, now it's like 2 weeks ago at this point.
This thing is just lingering on. It's like it's just still out there. The country's going to do what it needs to do. I will say this. You know, we talk a lot about politics. All I'm going to say is this country is resilient.
Yeah.
Because you think of some of the things that have gone on, some of the policies and different things that have gone with whether your party is in place, you will see that this country always finds a way to come through this thing. So, go USA. But anyway.
they our founding fathers laid a lot of booby traps for people trying to mess our
the founding fathers were really like rocket scientists.
Well, it's like, what is it? Ben Franklin said, they asked him whenever they got done figuring out the government, he said, it's a republic if you can keep it.
Yes,
but they made sure they gave us a lot of ways to help keep it, though.
Yeah, they did. And I do think that's important. But I think that's one thing that's been lost, the lost art of history. So with that said, first of all, on this podcast, we'd like to let everybody know we have, again, for the second episode in a row, I am the host. No more celebrity, no more guest. My name's on the podcast.
He used to call himself the guest.
Yeah,
every episode. And we were like,
finally,
you're not the guest. You're not the guest, right?
It made me feel special, Scott. But anyway, so I want to make sure everybody knows Light Up Shepherdsville. Light Up Shepherdsville is December the 7th. It's a great time. We celebrate. We have Santa out there. We got fire trucks, police cars. We got all kinds of fun things, floats, some really cool things. We got Toy Story theme for the City Hall.
Toy Story or Toy
Story?
Toy Story, okay.
And guess who I get to be?
Woody. Okay.
I'm going to write on my
I can see you being Buzz, too, though.
Yeah, I would have liked Buzz.
I can see you doing like the Infinity and Beyond thing.
Yeah,
you got that energy.
Right. But I am going to write on the bottom of my boot, Andy.
I was wondering if you were going to do that. I was a little. I was scratching my head. I'm like, I don't know. I don't think he's necessarily an Andy fan, but hey, why not? Let's let him put that on there.
So here's the deal.
I was going to say, isn't there a new kid? There's a new kid now, right?
So I don't know about that.
The new ones. They belong to a different kid.
All right. So here's what you did. What we did is we'd like to do a formal introduction.
Special guest of all time is having trouble.
Yeah.
Second podcast
is that
of the day.
4 syllables? That was 4 syllables. That was probably why it was too tough for me. But he just got on there like Wolfgang. What was it? What's the guy's name that was old radio star? Wolfgang.
There's Wolfgang Puck. He makes dinner, but I don't think that's what you're talking about.
Who was the local?
Wolfman Jack?
Wolfman Jack.
This is before my time.
He was.
Way before my time.
I was trying to think of that because his voice sounded a little bit like that. But anyway, we have a fun guest today. We always talk about different people we bring onto our podcast, but we have Scott Wantland here. So good morning, Scott.
Hey, it's great to be here, Mayor. Big fun, and I love podcasts, and I'm a huge podcast fan, so I'm actually really stoked about this experience today.
All right, so I got to tell you, if we need a plan B when I'm not here,
for real,
we're picking this guy.
Host.
We're picking this guy.
There you go.
I love it. Anyway, so good morning to you, Scott.
You invite me anytime. I love talking to people. I love podcasts, and let's get in here. I missed out on the president part. Let me tell you, I've got one thing to say about it. No matter who you were for this time, America needed to have an election. We needed to have a decision, and we needed it to be over. We didn't need it to be lawsuits. We didn't need it to be 6 months. We didn't need it to be watching some lady count a piece of paper 1,000 times.
We're still going in Arizona.
The hanging chads.
Yeah.
See,
how do we find out a way for her to win? He doesn't know the hanging chads.
You don't know about the hanging chads of 2000.
I do not. No, he was born in 2006. So that would
so go Google hanging chads. Go Google Mr. Eli.
Anyway. That's actually what I was thinking about when, and this exact thing in my mind is I remember Bush v. Gore, and in 2000, we all stayed up and we watched the TV, and it got later and later and later, and the sun started coming up, and we're like, we're not going to know tonight. And it's,
that was like one of the first times that you're right.
Yeah, like in this lifetime that you really didn't know that night. And, it really kind of turned America and politics on its ear, and it made us all kind of ugly with each other for a while. So that's why I was really excited this time that we had an election. There was a decision. Even if you don't like the result, please take some peace that for once we're not in this weird quagmire where people like lawyers are trying to figure out who's going to run America.
Yeah, so I do want to make sure he just mentioned that word.
I was going to say, aren't you a lawyer?
Hold on, Scott. Scott Wantland. What do you do for a profession, sir? When you're not on podcast?
When I'm not on podcast, I practice law here in Shepherdsville.
Yes,
I've done that for 21 years
thank
now.
You for your local business, too.
Pay my occupational tax. do my part. And so that's what I do every day, day in, day out. I come right here to downtown Shepherdsville. I'm one of those lucky people that gets to live and work right here in Bullitt County.
Yes, sir.
But every day I literally come right across the street from the courthouse and look at downtown Shepherdsville.
Oh, that's awesome. And do you have a side gig too? Do you have a side gig there, Mr. Wantland?
A side hustle?
A side hustle? Do you have a side hustle? Are you the city attorney of one of the cities here in Bullitt County?
Well, yeah, that's right. And I can't tell everybody that it's the best city, and because that would be
for that podcast.
Yeah, that would be no way, Jose, if I were to say that. Yeah, but I am city attorney from Mount Washington, so I get to go to the council meetings. I get to work with Mayor Owen. What a good guy!
He's a good guy, man.
I tell you what, a real straight arrow. Yep. I've worked for a lot of people over the years, and I've never had the people of Mount Washington are in really good hands there.
Yeah, I think I like him a lot. His experiences in law enforcement, but I tell you what, you would never know that. I don't have the stereotypic law enforcement guy, but for a guy that's just so genuinely nice, he's a lot nicer than me, guys. I mean, if he had his podcast, it'd be a lot better because he's nicer than me.
Does he talk as much?
Oh no.
Okay, then.
Well, okay. No,
we got
you would have to bring on a whole lot of guests like Scott.
There you go. Yeah,
you would have to do that.
That's hard to find, though.
Yeah.
But really just truly a kind guy, very genuine, and he's really excited about all the great stuff that we're doing in Mount Washington. Yeah. I can't talk about a lot of it just yet.
I know how that works. And there are things that's why they don't tell me things, because I'm like a kid at Christmas. I don't tell everybody. I'm on a need to know basis. Even though I'm the mayor, they limit what they tell me because I want to go tell everybody really fast.
Well, just say you won't have the only aquatic center for long. Oh, did I say that?
My God. That's awesome. I think the biggest thing is that I do want to bring up one thing real quick. Is Scott's dad, Joe Wantland, was the city attorney when I was on the city council, and he's been out here for a number of years, and he knows a lot of the history. It was really good to talk to your dad, and you please, hopefully he listens to the podcast. Hi, Joe.
Hey, Pop. How you doing?
The mayor says, hey.
How you doing, Joe? I don't know you, but hey.
A good guy and a wealth of knowledge. He's been around a long time, and from the legal aspect of it, he's very appreciative of what he knows in the law, but he's a guy that knows. He's the guy like inside baseball, I think, of Bullitt County politics and knows folks, and I enjoy those conversations. I've had a few of them during the time I was on council, but I think most people need to understand city attorneys really are in a quagmire of sorts, right? Because it's a little different. Things continue to change. The complexities of running government continue to change, and the attorneys know, but the people that are elected have got some working to do, don't we? All of us do. And would you share any thoughts? I mean, not so much in a bad way, but what is it? What do you consider some of the challenges? First of all, in your day-to-day lawyer, but also as a city attorney. What do you see some of the challenges or opportunities?
Oh, well, those are two completely different conversations. I will tell you that dealing with my normal, like, everyday clients day in, day out, first of all, it's nice that you don't know my father, because had you known him, he's a divorce lawyer. So we typically typically don't see people when things are going well.
Right,
that's
not like, how's the weather?
Yeah, no.
I want to tell you some bad things.
I went to a party a couple Saturdays ago, and I had to stop what I was doing for like over an hour to get some lady out of jail that was in on a traffic ticket.
Really?
She was like, it was like 20 years ago. She didn't pay her traffic ticket, and she's getting locked up on Saturday night, and she was going to be in jail for like 2 or 3 days till they could transfer. This is not somebody that regularly goes to jail. This is like this is like
kind of worried.
Like a 45-year-old housewife, and she's like, oh my God, what do I do? And so we always see people when they're stressed out and when they're worried. And so a huge part of what I do is just talk to people when they're in really bad times. So much of what I do, I'm like a therapist almost.
Sure.
Now, city attorney is a completely different gig. In that you have so many complexities, because what people don't quite get is every time there's a new law about something, there's 6 people on a council and a mayor that expect you to be an expert on it overnight. If they pass some law in Washington about how wide the sidewalks have got to be, they're looking at me like, well, what do you mean you're not a sidewalk expert? How does that go on?
I would imagine you also have to be a lot of times the bad guy, because like the council members or something will want to do something. You'll be like, actually, that's against the law. So
they don't like it when I tell them no.
right, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that a little bit. We have Catherine here as our city attorney, and I think the biggest thing is we want to make sure the city is not liable, right? And that's the biggest part about this is to make sure there are guidelines, there's statutes, there's laws, there's a reason why they're there. We may not always agree with them, but we live in a country that we live by laws. So obviously, you're our kind of our guardrails, right? On a bowling alley.
I don't disagree, and I'll tell you one of the things that I've learned about being around politics, really since I've been like a little kid. You know, you're saying, "Hey, Dad tells these stories about what happened back in 1978." You know, that stuff. Like I lived it. Like that was going on, like in my kitchen. I heard those stories in real time. I don't necessarily know where all the bodies are buried, but you know,
there's some markers.
Yeah. You know, I can tell you some yarns on some people and some stuff that happened in the 80s. I will tell you, 9/10 the battle is just not being a crook and trying. Yeah. If your leaders will just try.
Isn't that terrible that that's 9/10 the battle?
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
You know, and people really get bothered when I say things like that. But my experience has been over the years, if you have people that try and you don't have people that are motivated in bad ways, we can really get things done if we work together and genuinely try, even if we don't necessarily get it right the first time. If we're all on the same page and we've all got that positive attitude of we're going to get this to work for our community, we can get things done. Things get crazy when people start trying to take care of themselves in ways they shouldn't.
So that's a good point. And for you guys, there's a couple things. I mean, the term is always called good old boys.
Yeah.
And
lying in your pockets.
Well,
whatever. Yeah.
So the thing is, when you look at that, and you know, we always think of like Shepherdsville, Bullitt County. There are counties and cities like this all across the country.
Oh yeah.
That have a mindset that's smaller, and it a lot of times because the way the cities ran, it was some of that was going on, and people were being taken care of. You know, we had family and friends, and you were utilizing and giving jobs and whatever. Again, some of that's bad, some of that's not. You know, not very good because again, it becomes a qualified person for that position.
Yeah.
It's not against a family member being there, but they better be able to do the kind of job above and beyond anybody else that you could have chosen from.
Yeah, and I don't want to get into specific examples because so we're going to change the names to protect the innocent, as they said on Dragnet.
The bodies are buried.
That's right, but you can have a family member work somewhere, especially if they're competent and motivated. Like, so what if they're related to somebody? Saves gas getting to work. I mean, no harm, no foul. It's when you bring people on that just shouldn't be in those positions that you make a mess.
So what you need to worry about, see, this guy, we could sprinkle him over a few of our guests, and we would have this kind of great podcast all about, the fact is, sometimes we're going to say things, we want you to know it's not to be hurtful, it's the truth. Because, Scott, you're going to hear me say this a lot. If it's on Facebook, it's true.
Oh, well, you're not kidding.
It's true. I mean, we make fun of it, and we actually have an episode that we did that, and we were trying to make sure that people understand. You got to laugh a little bit about it. I get it. People have opinions and feelings, and they're very nice. Facts matter.
Oh, absolutely.
Facts matter.
Yeah.
And
Truth matters.
I think you made a good point. I think this, when going back to not the whole nepotism, but the whole idea that you can actually hire good people to do things. I want the best people because right now we have a lot going on, as you well know, in Shepherdsville, and we're trying to catch up to good communities like Mount Washington. We're trying to catch up with like Bardstown and E-Town, trying to be communities like that. We have the funds to do that. We are in a very solid financial position. And I think that's kind of the quandary for people.
You know, I'm going to say that you're ahead of the game because you're even talking about it. You recognize that there's something that needs to be addressed. You're recognizing that there's a problem here. You're recognizing that there's room for improvement. So often in the past, we didn't even have that. So the fact that, again, you've got the right mental attitude, you're going in the right direction, and you're doing it because you want the community to be better. If you come into it with that and keep kind of plodding in the right direction, you'll eventually get it right.
And did you see that? I'm not going to give him any money. Did you hear all that just now? You guys need to listen to this guy's on the podcast for his energy and all that, but he just told you the truth in just 30 seconds. He just told you about me. Thank you, Scott.
Yep. And he didn't even do the generic "you're the best mayor ever" answer like most people do.
So I make everybody say that too, Scott.
You're not.
I make my grandkids say it. I make everybody say it.
You know,
say it.
You may or may not be the best mayor ever behind Mayor Owen in Mount Washington.
Yeah, he's like he's gonna be like, you're the best Shepherdsville mayor ever. he's not going to give him money because he already did.
Y'all didn't see it, but yeah, it's under the table. Under the table.
And I will say this, if you want to go for best mayor, you don't make the news as fun as some of the others did, and that's probably a good thing.
I don't want to make that kind of news. I do think that the one thing that we need to understand is we have a good community in Mount Washington. What if we get Shepherdsville to that level? Then you have 2 cities in the county doing that. Hillview's steady. It's got some opportunity with looking at. Jim's done a good job up there. Larry has tons of potential in LJ. So we have 4 quadrants of our county. We could be on fire. We know from talking to other guests and in Frankfurt, it is truly about, are we one of the top 5 fastest growing counties in the state? Yes, we are.
Yeah, we just need to build that wall between us and Louisville. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, and just have it where you can come in.
Yeah, in Hillview, there just needs to be a big wall.
Yeah, so don't come from Louisville.
Yeah. So are we going to make Jefferson County pay for it?
Yeah, we should.
I love that. That's a good one.
And it's first of all, I think if we want to talk about part of why our mayors out here are successful and part of why this county's so successful is we are blessed that we have a community where people are coming in and doing business. So we have revenue here. We have opportunities to make money. Especially if you go out in the state, you'll see some of these small towns where the downtown is just dried up, the plant is closed, and no matter how good of a mayor you are, if there's no money coming in the door, that's a tough gig, boss.
That's the biggest surprise for me when I first came in. Obviously could have done open records and stuff like that. I focused on the fact that we didn't have a lot of financials that I got to see or exposed to. So I was looking on the what I call the low hanging fruit, bringing back recreational baseball, t-ball, softball kind of thing. Clean up around Wendy's, just aesthetically make it look nicer here. Work on some sidewalks and streets. And when you see our financials, and I don't mind to tell people this, when they talk to us and you borrowed $30 million for the aquatic center.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Where you just came from.
Yes, I just came back to it. And it's really important for people to know is our financials, we have almost half of that kind of money in our bank accounts. And so we are in a solid position. And people need to know that. We're not hiding that. We talk a lot about the fact that Shepherdsville has always been kind of a lot of infighting, not getting things done, and really very depressed in its kind of brand, right? So that was one of the things I wanted to really change the brand. I wanted people to go, I am from Shepherdsville, not like, I live in Shepherdsville. I wanted to be,
I live south of Louisville down there.
Yeah. We're owning that now. So,
when I was a kid, my family made fun of me because I lived in Bullitt County.
Yeah.
And because of that, I'm one of those people that you can't make Bullitt County jokes around me unless you're from here. Yeah. If you're one of us, then we can tell those.
We're okay with that.
But if you're somebody from Louisville and you're telling a Bullitt County joke, those are fighting words.
They are fighting words.
And one of the things they made fun of me because I went to Bullitt County schools, and let me tell you one, I'd like all my Jefferson County friends to tell me, would you rather send your kids to Bullitt County public schools or Jefferson County?
Yeah, let me just say for the record, because I know a little bit about this. I went to elementary school in Jefferson County, and I went to 6th grade in Jefferson County, and then we moved out here and when I was in 7th grade. And the schools, it's not even comparable. The schools out here were worlds better. When I went to school in Jefferson County, my elementary school was fine, but I went to Moore Middle for a year. Yeah. Dude, they didn't care. Those teachers didn't care if you passed or failed. They didn't care. But literally, it was chaos.
As long as you didn't stab somebody today, you were all right.
One of the games at that time was to just throw pencils into the ceiling and get them to stick. And there were ceiling tiles just falling down everywhere because they were just destroying the school.
So we want to make sure. One of the things I'd like to make sure we add in there. Obviously, these are experiences that you've experienced. I think the struggle for a lot of bigger cities is because of the vast size of it. It's almost out of their control.
Yeah.
I think they've lost control of the classroom, the bus experience, and we see that. We see it even smaller out here. What we want to do is be able to seize and take care of those. We've got a good superintendent. I've mentioned Jesse is a friend of mine, but he's also got a good vision. He's got some good people. And one of the things that you mentioned, Scott, the reason why all this is kind of coming together is because the one asset that we keep forgetting about is the good people in each of these communities. I'm not being cheesy about that. It's not a platitude. I have seen people really come together and get stuff done, and I'm really proud of that because it's no one person getting all this done. Shepherdsville is doing things because there's a lot of people focused on the right thing.
I will tell you, in the past 10 years, just me watching what I see in this community, even if you don't necessarily like the leaders that we're electing, good, bad, or indifferent, the professionalism.
That wasn't me, by the way.
That's right. Vote Jose. The professionalism that I see in all forms of government, even just in the past few years, is just getting better and better and better. And in a lot of ways, I don't know if that's because we were so low and it doesn't take a lot to move us in the right direction. I think that's the wrong attitude. But I definitely think that part of why things are going so well out here is we're doing a good job across the board, no matter who's elected, of just running the government a little more efficiently, dealing with the low-hanging fruit, actually coming up with plans. We're encouraging people to get educated and like for instance, to go to like the Kentucky League of Cities conference where people are getting educated on their jobs that they're actually doing. And I see out here things are going so much better. Like, I don't know if you pay any attention to Clint Mattingly over at the PVA's office.
Absolutely. Doing a great job.
Doing a phenomenal job.
But he's Darth Vader, though.
You never want to you don't want to get mail from that guy. I understand that.
No, it's like, because and again, people, just a little bit here, because I'm trying to get a Christmas card from Clinton. Okay. I want to make sure that it's understood that PVA has been so far outdated in its processes and its assessments over the last 20 years. And God rest his soul, Deb started it. And I know that Clinton's working on it, and I think those are the pieces. When it gets to where it needs to be, we're assessing the property right, correct in the way that it should be. And for not doing that, there's lost revenue dollars. That means lost infrastructure. That's lost, putting things in your park. All that money is, and again, we're not trying to take money from people, and that's not what Clinton's doing. He's bringing us up to standards to go along with the whole professional piece. If it doesn't change, there are small town feels to things you could do. It's the complexities today in just 22 months, Scott, and you guys know this. We have so many things that we're doing. It's not like an ordinary person say, I'd like to be mayor, or I want to be the police chief or fire chief. The complexities today are going to take somebody at a higher level. You can't do that like you used to 25, 30 years ago.
Not and be successful and not be efficient. And I think that there's something that your listeners probably ought to think about as we're sitting here saying how much we love the tax man. The things that we're talking about aren't really about ma and pa that are buying a house. The stuff that we're talking about are huge tracts of land that are owned by out-of-state investors. There are big pieces of like commercial real estate that were like way undervalued, like ridiculously undervalued. So we're not over here high-fiving because he's turning up the tax assessment on somebody that lives on Tollview Avenue. No. But there's if there's a warehouse out there that had a tax value of $500,000,
that's correct, and it's worth millions.
It's worth millions. Maybe that big company ought to be paying its fair share.
Well, I think that what you'll see with a lot of that as the county it's assessing it, even within the city, we got to keep assessing our assessments. We haven't done a good job of that through the years. Audit process has been behind here. So we have a lot of things which are catching up administratively. But what you'll see is, and what you're trying to say is, we want to get to a point what revenue dollars we bring in are reinvested back. Because, I think that's kind of what's missed in Shepherdsville. And that's why we have the kind of money we have in the accounts, is because that money wasn't being invested. You had this whole glorified truck stop. You had fast food and you had warehouses, and you didn't really have a community. Everybody was going everywhere else. And then young kids would go, I'm not living here. There's nothing here.
That's exactly what was happening.
And then you're going to have all the aquatic center and other things going on, the park plans that's going to go on. We must now have things, the downtown experience, the town square. So we're going to have more to bring more people to learn more about Shepherdsville. We've got wineries, we've got bourbon experiences, and we're going to have some of that even within our city of Shepherdsville.
Yeah.
I think for the first time during my career, I'm going to have a place next to my office where I can go get a beer.
I'll join you. Just bring the cigars.
I'd be happy to.
Absolutely.
And I was actually kind of wondering if maybe next time we could do this over at Crown in the Cigar Lounge. That hit me as an idea. We can have stogies, and we can have an episode about Yes Way Jose, about what you're smoking today. And
that's right. So I kind of like that. It has a little ring to it. I'm not sure where that's going to go.
That's the segment. Yes Way Jose, what are you smoking today?
I like that, Scott.
The voters did in fact approve all that around here, so you get to look forward to that.
So I do think we've talked about that. We want to have different venues, like maybe just a Crown Shop, and then maybe even something out back of the Salt River Brewing that's going to be coming to us. So and sit out back, smoke cigars, and have a nice beer, and talk about we want people to know we're accessible. I mean, whether it's just calling the office here, instant message, I've gotten different ways that people have called and contacted me about their concerns. Well, why not just sit together? I think that's a wonderful idea, Scott. We are going to do that. We'll probably do something on a monthly basis. Yeah, and I love the Crown Shop. I get all my cigars there, so it's one of those things I do. But what a plug for Wheezy! It's a great plug. I think that your energy's always been there. You're a character, and I love you for that, because I think what you do is you're willing to have the conversation. And I think some people need to have conversations, and we need to, you know what, like you said about the country, even in small towns like this, you got to mend those wounds. You know, there's a radical change that's come over Shepherdsville in the last 2 years. And again, we've really were very aggressive about it. People are very apprehensive about change. Well, we put it on steroids.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, what's this guy doing? And so we do want to make sure we try to find times to explain everything, that we're just accelerating to have family activities out here so you can do more here. We want full-service restaurants. We want better shopping.
It's catching up with things that should have happened over the last 10 years, really.
Yeah.
You're just trying to get them all done. But, yeah, I mean, these things should have been happening, you know.
Oh, we could have a whole episode about things that should have happened in Bullitt County 30, 40 years ago, and we wouldn't be in the spot that we're in now.
Yeah, I mean, just think about the fact that, like, you know, 2 years or whatever ago it was, whenever you took office, and you're starting to do all these things, and, like, we have all the money to do all these things. Well, like, we had the money to do all these things before that, too. Yeah.
And I do think there's a couple things. There's always been an apprehension, you know, because, again, you know, the evil word warehouses.
Yeah.
Scott, warehouses.
I hear tax base is what I hear, but
that's what I hear. But I want people to know, when we say that, I get it. For the longest time, it was warehouses and fast food, and people just got exhausted with that without seeing that money reinvested. So now what they're going to see is they're actually going to see that money is being reinvested. The connectivity piece, the sidewalks, fixing roads, building an aquatics. They're building some of these other things for us and attracting more private business to come here. We are now the darling. That people are starting to talk to us. I get calls every week. Hey, can we talk to you about this? Housing is our big piece, Scott.
Yeah.
If we're going to continue to grow, it's going to be a challenge for us. 65% of the city is in the floodplain.
Yep. Not only that, but you also have this huge wall called Fort Knox, so you can only go so far west. But, you know, Hillview is annexed basically right to your back door, so you're kind of stuck there. Yeah. And now I'll tell you, you know, wow, we're a couple of geeks getting excited.
We just need to buy LJ.
Yeah, there you go. Send Mayor Dangerfield a check, see what we can negotiate that for. Have you ever thought about? I'm going to put something in your ear. All right. Have you ever seen in a town where they have like the walkways over the train tracks? Could we do one of those maybe behind the courthouse and open up that whole area like Carpenter Street and all that? That would allow you to have a downtown growth that's off of Buckman and would really kind of open up a second.
You talking about over the railroad tracks?
Yeah.
So let me just explain CSX.
I understand they're a challenge.
Yeah, they are. Oh, a challenge. That's a nice word. That's a nice word. But I will say this. We have looked at some things like that, because right now from the downtown going to the Aquatic Center on the Joby Hall, you have to go through the single tunnel.
Yeah.
And so we would love to see them make that a 2-car tunnel with sidewalks. But what we are going to do, we want to have that connectivity. So what we are going to do, if we can't change anything, we're going to have a button you can push, and lights go off on both sides of that tunnel that's saying that there's a person walking through, to try to do some things like that to make it safely. And then we're going to put sidewalks on the countryside all the way to the hotels. So we have a lot of that planned. It's called money, but the tax base.
It's called money.
Tax base, yeah.
Yeah, it's called money. It can be called sidewalk, but it's called dineros.
Yeah, well, I hear you. And well, you know, and I want to know the person that hits that button at like 4 o'clock on a Friday afternoon when they're going to get called by all the people waiting to go through.
Well, I'm just, you got to think of different ways that we have to be able to go from staying at a hotel to going to the Aquatic Center, Cart Country, and walking to the downtown to get a pizza and a beer without getting in your car.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's what we're looking at. So those are things all part of the plans. People need to understand that we have been so far behind on just keeping. When we had that block party behind Brance's building there,
I walked right out my back door and I was there.
Wasn't it nice to have everybody that was in our community sitting here just enjoying it? Everybody was having a good time talking about it. It was just the closest. It was probably the purest neighborhood event of having people just all together. People I saw from church. It was like, oh, that's really cool. And we're out here talking, hey, good to see you, outside of a different venue.
Well, and it also, I think, sends a message that the people that live here are excited about new things coming to downtown, and they're going to participate and they're going to get involved. So if you're sitting at home listening to this and you're thinking about whether or not you need to invest in Shepherdsville, it's a good time.
Yeah, probably a good time.
It is a good time, and we see that. I mean, obviously the bowling alley is a big thing. We got a private investment that's very serious. This gentleman really wants to make this happen. I'm hoping that we have good news within a year. Those things I can tell you, can't give you details, but those are nice things that people are wanting to do here because we have no bowling alley in Bullitt County.
We used to have two.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
That's true. Yeah, we used to.
So the development that you're going to see some change, and I've always said that everybody, if you don't know me, I'm all about kids. All of the free clinics and stuff we put on at the gym. Our City Fair Bullet Blast was all free this year for rides for everybody.
I think it's pretty fantastic that you recognize that there's a significant part of your community that is economically challenged, and you make sure that they have opportunities and they have a chance to participate and stuff.
Yep. I will tell you that's a part of the foundation, the Cabero Foundation. We've talked about, these guys know that we're raising money to either reduce or make it free for lower income families to have their kids go to the aquatic center. I'm not having a kid looking in through the gate or through the fence and not be able to go to the aquatic center. I got to figure ways to do it. I think we've got a good community that will help us donate some of that money and really make it happen. And I'm not just talking about Shepherdsville. Some areas in the LJ, Nichols, and even parts of Hillview. We're going to try to work together and partner and get these kids there and enjoying a great experience as a kid.
I think it's a fantastic goal, and
I'm going to get money from you, by the way.
Well, that's fine.
I want to make sure you know that.
He's going to get that money back then.
I expected it.
Yeah, the money I gave you, I'm going to get back.
Can I give it back in a check so I can write it off, or does it have to be like random bills like it was when you gave it to me?
Well, again,
that's how you know. That's how you know. That's how you know he's an attorney. He's like, "Can I give it to you in a check so I can write it off on my tax?"
Well, listen, I got to tell you what, buddy. You have been one of the. If I had to classify all these episodes, you were a fun guest today. We try to limit what we do as far as the time wise, but I tell you what, it's been fun, Scott. I'll have you back. I may have to break the rules. I was going to bring him back like next year and kind of catch up on what's new and what's going on in the community. We might have to bring him back a couple times.
Yeah, we'll be playing favorites now.
No, I have a good. Hey, listen, we've had bourbon and cigars together. I can tell you, it's insightful. His family that's always committed to the community. I know you're really. I appreciate your rooting for the home team. You're a local business owner. You're very involved in the community here and in the county. And I think it's a great perspective that you get to watch us grow and be as good as Stuart and Matt Washington. And I love Stuart. And like I said, I want to grow up to be like Stuart. I'm going to say that on the podcast.
I'll tell anybody that'll listen every time. I am Bullitt County proud.
Yes,
you've seen like the Kentucky Proud products. Well,
yes,
I'm Bullitt County proud.
Yes,
this is my home. I'm always enthused about my home. I'll tell anybody that wants to hear about this place how great it is, and getting to participate in something like this is certainly an opportunity to do that. Now, I've got some questions for you on a couple of things.
I'm actually going to have to make sure that you know. I have to get my lawyer involved before you ask me questions. Most of them I have to make sure. But all kidding aside, we're going to have you back. And let's do that. But I think we need to do the cigar thing.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? We could start there.
I mean, I participated today.
He was ready to go. He was like, just in case.
I brought a cigar right here in the wrapper. And
see, I like that attitude. You're going places. I feel like your future looks bright.
I'm always a big proponent of to try and to make an effort. And don't tell me why you can't get something done.
That's right.
Even if you can't get it done, get it 9/10 done. Find the yes way, not the no way.
Look at that segue. This guy.
Look at that guy.
He's the marketing. He's not only going to be on the show a couple more times.
He's the new host. No.
Yeah. Well, now we're going to change it to this
You
guy.
can be the special guest of all time now.
Special guest of all time.
Well, and then I'm gonna steal a little of your thunder because I was hoping, a lot of I listen to a lot of podcasts. I love podcasts, and a lot of them have swag. So I was kind of hoping to get some Yes Way, Jose, maybe stickers, T-shirts, coffee mugs. Do we have any of that? Do we have any of that today, Mayor?
So I want to let you know that the high price staff that I have is cutting into my marketing bills, but I'm going to work on that. I paid them double what I paid them 2 episodes ago. It's really getting. Inflation's killing me.
He loves to multiply by 0.
I knew where that was headed. Yeah.
He multiplies by numbers, but we already get paid 0, so it doesn't go
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So Scott, first of all, thank you very much for being here. And we do one thing when we end this show is we always say love
peace and chicken grease.
Look at this guy. This guy's going places. He's all over. What a wonderful guest you've been, Scott. I appreciate you being here. We're going to have you back. We're doing cigars. We'll do some beverages and have some fun and really get a lot of folks together. Anyway, with that said, 1, 2, 3.
Love, peace, and chicken grease.
Thank you, Scott. See you, buddy.
See ya.